The night was quiet, too quiet, like the city itself held its breath, and I sat alone staring at the ceiling fan. As it spun slowly above my head, the silence of my apartment, interrupted only by the hum of the refrigerator and the distant echo of footsteps in the hallway. I had no idea that within minutes, everything I thought I knew would blur and bend, because when I heard the knock at my door, soft yet deliberate, I never imagined it would be her, standing there dressed in a long coat. Her, eyes wide as if she too could not believe what she had just done. I opened the door, and for a moment, we just stood there, facing each other without a word, and the air between us thickened with all the things we were not supposed to say she was. My boss's wife, elegant, untouchable, always polite during those brief encounters at office parties. And now here she was on my doorstep, at 10:42 on a Thursday night. Her lips parted, not from speech, but from uncertainty, as if she were about to speak and then changed her mind. I stepped aside silently, letting her in my heart, pounding so loud, I thought she would hear it, and when she walked past me, I caught the scent of her perfume, soft, warm, like jasmine caught in a storm. She moved, with a grace that made my living room feel smaller, as if the space itself bent around her presence. I closed the door and leaned against it, unsure if I should ask why she was here, or if I should pretend this was normal. She turned to me, her coat still on her hands, clutching the lapels like a shield, and said, "I didn't know where else to go." Her voice cracked just slightly, and I felt the weight of those words settle on my chest. She walked to the window and looked out into the night, her reflection in the glass, more haunting than the city lights. And I stayed still watching her, knowing that every second ticked closer to something we could never take back. She turned slowly, then walked toward me, her steps soft but sure. And when she stopped in front of me, we were so close I could feel the warmth radiating off her skin. She reached up, touched my face, her fingers trembling, and in that moment, I knew whatever boundaries had existed before had crumbled, like sand in the tide. She whispered my name, not as an invitation, but as a confession, and I didn't answer. Not with words, not with logic, only with the closeness of breath and the meeting of eyes, because whatever this was, it had already begun. Her coat slid off her shoulders and landed silently on the floor as she stood there in a simple silk dress, the kind that clung to her like a second skin, and shimmered faintly under the dim lights of my apartment. She didn't say a word, and neither did I, because speech would have ruined the fragile magic that had wrapped itself around us. Like a spell spun in shadow and want, she stepped closer and placed her hands on my chest, her fingers tracing slow circles that set fire to every nerve. And I stood still, not moving, not breathing, afraid that even blinking might break the moment her eyes never left mine, as she leaned forward and rested her forehead against me, her breath warm against my neck. And in that shared stillness, I felt something deeper than attraction or temptation. It was hunger. It was loneliness. It was every look we had ever exchanged that lingered a second too long. It was everything unsaid, swelling into a single touch when I wrapped my arms around her. Felt inevitable, like we had been walking toward this moment from the first day we met without knowing it. Her lips brushed against my jaw, barely there like a question, and I answered, not with hesitation, but with certainty, my mouth finding hers, in a kiss that began slow and searching and deepened until the room itself seemed to dissolve around us. Our hands mapped each other like explorers, rediscovering familiar places now seen in a different light. She pulled me down onto the couch, and the world narrowed to the curve of her back, the softness of her sighs, the warmth of her skin, and we forgot who we were and who we were supposed to be, because in that moment, there were no titles, no names, no boundaries, only two people who had run. Out of reasons not to want what they wanted, we moved together with a kind of quiet desperation. Like the night might vanish if we let go even for a second. And when the hush of early morning crept through the blinds, she lay curled against me, her fingers tracing patterns on my chest, her body warm, her breath steady. We didn't speak because there was nothing to explain. The line had been crossed long ago, and now we were here together, tangled in silence and secrets and something that felt terrifyingly like truth.